So, in a nutshell, this is what you need to know about section 2.5, changes to a cell's DNA. We're going to call those changes to a cell's DNA mutations. Any change, let's say, in one of those bases, adenine is replaced by, say, thymine, or guanine is replaced or shifted out of place, is going to spell a different sequence of amino acids and therefore a different protein. It's going to have a different function. It has consequences, right? And the big example in this section is cancer. So we'll have more to say about cancer in a minute, but if you get nothing else out of reading section 2.5, this is what you're looking at. Basically, a mutation changes the genetic information that genes contain. This can cause diseases such as cancer, cystic fibrosis, diabetes, and a whole lot of other diseases. Mutations in the genes that control cell division can cause cancer. You essentially end up with a cell that doesn't know when to stop dividing. It's important that a cell knows that, okay, my function in terms of dividing is fulfilled, I am done, I should now go away. But some of them basically decide they want to take over the earth, and they divide, and then they divide again, and they divide again until you have tumors and cancer and a lot of nastiness. So this is out of control cell division, and like I said, it produces these masses of tumors, masses of cells called tumors. You want to look at some gross pictures sometime, type in the word tumor in Google and look at some images of some cancerous tumors. Not nice at all. Especially if these tumors occur in places in your body where, let's say, they're pushing on brain cells or other critical cells and depriving them of the nutrients and energy that they need, and of course, again, consequences. So tumors, as I say, interfere with normal body functions, and treatments for cancer include a whole lot of different types of surgery, radiation therapy, and some nasty chemicals that, in order to kill the cancer cells, almost kill you. So cancer is not a nice disease. So some of the vocabulary that comes in this section, the word mutation itself, cancer. By the way, the genes that actually cause cancer are called oncogenes. There's a word for you, oncogene. A doctor who specializes in cancer treatment is called an oncologist. So there you go. Nice word for you. Anyhow, these tumors can be of two types. Tumors that are controlled and not growing wildly through your body are called benign. Nice ones. Malignant, on the other hand, are tumors that basically decide, like I said, that they really should take over the world, and so they begin to spread. Metastasize is the word for spread, by the way. Metastasis. You are in everyday life exposed to a whole lot of chemicals and other agents that could potentially cause cancer. We call these things carcinogens. Obviously, it's a good idea to avoid exposure to carcinogens. For example, not that you're likely to be a smoker, but if you can stay away from inhaling tar-like substances into your lungs, you get rid of one of those risks. And of course, there are millions of others out there as well. So that would be the basics. But one of the big ones here is, of course, cancer. So I think we'll move on to that. And you should basically, the last page in your package for this section is the worksheet that goes with the cancer presentation. You might want to just find that. This is the Cancer Basics page from your package that you should probably fill out as we go through the rest of this presentation. Cancer Basics. I don't know about you, but I have found that this is one disease that I never thought I'd ever, ever encounter. I mean, obviously I didn't think I was ever going to come down with cancer, but the truth of the matter is I think most of us, including yourself, will at some point either have somebody you care about very much dealing with cancer, or you will know somebody that, again, close to the family, let's say, that is dealing with it. So it's probably something that, if nothing else, we should understand, and usually understanding leads to a whole lot more empathy with people that are going through this incredibly nasty disease. So what is cancer? Cancer is a destructive growth of cells which invades nearby tissues and may metastasize to other areas of the body. Those words basically mean malignant. That's what spreading and destructive cells do. Spreading itself is basically what the word metastasize means. So the cells divide rapidly, become very aggressive, and they grow out of control. If you have cell tissue cultures growing, let's say, in a glass dish, they are known to grow along the surface and then up the sides and over the counter and down through the refrigerator and over the benches, and they just keep on growing. So in contrast, a benign tumor is simply a localized as in not spreading, mass of slowly multiplying cells resembling its original tissue and seldom being life-threatening. It's important to remember that DNA, of course, is in every cell of your body. That DNA is identical. Just different sections of that DNA can be turned on. So cells that go wrong, you could have, for instance, a cell in your stomach that has suddenly decided that it's a hair cell, and now it's going to grow beautiful long locks of hair. And as you can imagine, hair growing in your stomach, intestines, or other areas of your body is not a great idea. So again, cancer can lead to some pretty strange things. So cancers are classified according to the type of tissue from which they arise. The carcinomas, might have heard of that word, are cancers of the tissues that line your body cavities, your mouth, let's say, or other body cavities. Sarcomas, on the other hand, are cancers of what are called connective tissue. Your bone is a connective tissue. Leukemia is a special type of connective tissue cancer. Leukemia is specifically cancer of the blood. So, when you are looking normally at cells, you will see cells that look like these. They are well defined. The nuclei are more or less regular. They are defined by controlled growth. They have something called contact inhibition. When they bump into each other, they say, aha, gone far enough. This is my neighbor. I don't want to invade his territory. That's what you want. They grow in one organized layer, and the cells actually become what they're intended to become. Hair cells remain hair cells. Heart cells that can beat on their own remain cardiac cells. Nervous cells remain nervous cells, and so on. They're differentiated. On the other hand, cancer cells have uncontrolled growth, no contact inhibition, and again, these are the cells shown at the bottom here. Notice the nuclei. Some are absent, some are big, some are small. They grow on top of each other, multi-layered, disorganized. They're non-differentiated. This one may think it's an eyeball. This one may be developing into skin cells. This one may be developing hair. And again, notice the abnormal nuclei. There are 7 warning signs that you probably should be familiar with when it comes to cancer. One of them is a change in bladder or bowel habits. If you find yourself going to the washroom 64 times every day and you're used to going 3 times a day, something might be wrong there. How about a sore that doesn't heal? We all get nicks and scrapes, and part of living is to develop these sores. But if you have a sore that you've been scratching and rubbing and it's been there for 6 months on your leg, you might want to get that checked out. Unusual bleeding or discharge. Thickening or lump in breast. Notice we tend to think of women and breast cancer as being the major cancer, and it certainly is in women, but the equivalent in males is testicular cancer. Any type of lump or thickening that develops in either of those 2 organs, again, is not good. Indigestion or difficulty swallowing, and again, depending on what your mother has given you for dinner, you may in fact have indigestion periodically. But if you have indigestion on a regular basis or difficulty swallowing, those are symptoms that, again, probably should have somebody considering. An obvious change in a wart or a mole. I grew up in an era where I would go to Bible camp out in Crescent Beach, and there's no such thing as sunscreen. So we would spend an awful lot of time in the sun, no shirts on, and we would basically see who could get the best sunburn, peel these layers of skin off, and see who basically had the best long piece of skin tape. I, to this day, now have a whole lot of moles, and I'll basically show you on the next page what some of these moles can do in terms of changing over time. Again, a change in a wart or a mole is something you want to keep your eye on. You should probably find somebody who actually cares about you deeply and knows your body from head to toe, and actually get them to watch that kind of thing. So the last one, a warning sign, would be a nagging cough or hoarseness. And again, we're not talking about the periodic twice-a-year cold or something. This is something where for 6 months at a time you sound like you're hacking and not being able to actually cough. So those are the 7 warning signs. I'm sure you notice that they spell the word caution. So that's a great way of remembering. Just think caution. Right. So this is called the ABCD rule. This is the story of moles. So this is what a normal mole looks like. I mean, they're not beautiful, but you can tell they have a certain color, more or less regular circumference, diameter, etc. So the ABCD rule follows, of course. A stands for asymmetry. If your mole suddenly is not circular, if it begins to be longer in one direction than the other, we would say it's asymmetrical. Asymmetry. Something could be going on. The B here is the border. Notice that the border on this one is irregular. It also seems to be undergoing some interesting color change. Speaking of which, color. Notice that this one has decided it likes a little bit of purple and black. Keep your eyes on your moles. By the way, just in case you're intrigued by my story of moles on my back, I would say I have 4,280 of them. I went to a dermatologist one time who, for a very unreasonable fee, decided that I should have 2 or 3 of them removed every few months. And then I found out that he was a bit of a quack, and somebody else looked at my moles and said they are beautiful. Don't you worry about those. So again, it depends. Have somebody look at your moles and make that decision. We are missing one letter. We are missing the letter D. What do you think that D is? Diameter. Boom. You have a mole one day and it's 0.2 millimeters, and then the next day it's 6 inches running across your back. The diameter is changed. These things get bigger. Chances are cell division is growing out of control, and that's not good. So that's the basics of cancer.